When we first bought Tangaroa, she was a tired old 1969 trawler with a lot of potential, and even more problems. 4 years later, she's come a long way, but like any good project, the dream keeps evolving. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my vision for Tangaroa, the boat I've always wanted her to become. It's all about efficiency, quiet operation, reliability, and redundancy, with a little inspiration from Clive Cussler Oregon. From a full solar roof to windows and doors we can trust, from better decks to navigation gear to stabilizers that actually work at anchor, even the idea of going hybrid with azimuth drives, or maybe one day a kite and a hydrofoil. Yeah, we've got big dreams, but if you've been with us for a while, you know we make things happen, one project at a time. So subscribe now, settle in, and let's talk about where Tangaroa is headed next. We're Blaine and Janice, and this is Tangaroa, our 1969 78-foot aluminum yacht we found abandoned in Alaska. So far, we've ripped out the old Detroit diesels, rebuilt and marinized a pair of Cummins truck engines, and tackled wiring, grinding, and fabricating from bow to stern. But we're just getting started. There's so much more to come. We've got big plans for Tangaroa, and the goal isn't just to live aboard, it's to take her across the Pacific to Japan by way of Alaska. If you're into boat work, engine rebuilds, and making old things new, subscribe and join us on our never-ending sea trial. When we first purchased Tangaroa, she wasn't exactly what we were after, obviously. I mean, it's a used boat, it's got a lot of old equipment in it, but it was a really good platform to start with. We love the hull, we love the look of the boat, we love the fact that the boat just has soul, which we really, really like. And it gave us something to build on. Where we wanted to go with it was pretty simple. I mean, we wanted, if I were to put a list of priorities, performance, efficiency, reliability, comfort. Those are kind of a lot of the major things that we want to hit with that. Say we love Tangaroa. We have no interest in selling this boat ever. I am perfectly happy just upgrading for the entire time that we own this boat. Looks are not as high on the priority list as making the boat as good as we can make it for traveling and living in comfort. Eventually it'll get to that. And I kind of always liken the boat to, if you might know it, Clive Cussler is an author, and he writes, or has writers now, he's passed away, but he has writers that do what's called the Oregon Files. It's a series of books that they put out. And it's based around a ship, which is a tramp steamer, they call it, and it's just, the outside of it looks absolutely terrible. I mean, it is ugly, it is dirty, filthy, which not that Tangaroa is all of that, but it kind of is. But it's basically a front for an international, what would the word be? Guns for hire or mercenaries type of thing. And inside of that boat is all state-of-the-art technology. And that's what I would like to have on board Tangaroa. I'd love to have the boat look like it does from the outside, unassuming, wouldn't think twice about it. But once you come into the boat, it's amazing. And I'm pretty sure we're going to spend the next 15, 20 years getting it to that point. Probably one of the biggest things that drives me nuts about this boat, and I speak for Janice with this as well, is windows and doors. This boat was not designed for the kind of use that we use it in. I mean, this is a boat built in California that spent the majority of its life in Florida and Venezuela and Mexico, and then it got promptly brought up to the Pacific Northwest. And as you can see, we don't have super awesome weather, especially in the wintertime. It's really hard on everything. And the windows and doors on this boat are just not made for this. They are not efficient. They are not strong. The doors, I mean, you can see this one. It's got cracks, and when we're underway, you can actually see water dripping off the bottom of this if you catch spray over the side of the boat. The seal is garbage. Like this isn't a good offshore Pacific Northwest door. This is a fair weather, go out for the weekend door. And I mean, we've had it where we've had so much water get sucked under this door when we're underway that we have little rivers running across the pilot house. And we noticed that right away. Right after we brought this boat on the way down from Alaska, we got into some nasty weather leaving Prince Rupert. And I mean, we had towels on the floor. We were running towels through the dryer downstairs just to sop up all the water that was coming into the boat. And unfortunately, underneath all of this right here is the electrical panel, and water goes down there. It's just, these things are terrible. All of the windows are framed in wood. I can't even imagine the nightmare that you would have if you were to need to replace these windows. You'd have to have a wood joiner come in and remove all of the trim around to pull these things out and then put it all back in really nice. It is just really, it had no forethought for future maintenance or upgrades in mind when it was built. So we've just fought with this. We've got, I think right now, 4 or 5 broken windows out of all of them here. Even the doors, like you can see all the door windows are cracked and busted. It is just, that is probably one of the worst things in condition-wise on this boat. As you can see, on our way down, or I guess up to Alaska, we've had another window break. This is a new one. We've had lots of broken windows for years now. This just happened. There was no impact, nothing like that. What we assume is just maybe temperature differentials, something like that. Maybe there was a tiny little nick up in the corner. Don't know. Maybe the boat flexing in the seas a little bit. Bam, and it's cracked. These are, from everywhere we can tell reading documentation, these are 1/4 inch plate glass. They're not annealed, not safety glass, nothing special. As far as I know, they're just glass. So we need something better. And this window, kind of the same thing. We were sitting here, we weren't even moving on the boat. We were watching TV one night and we heard plack, and we looked up and we've got a crack. And this goes, it follows everything. It's like the Avengers symbol, you know, like for less fortunate people. So it has been taped up like this for years now. And yeah, I said it before, I'll say it again. This just needs to be sorted out because we're going to be taking this boat offshore and can't have this. It just doesn't work. And all around here, we've got other windows like the forward one over there where you can look through and you can see light through the side where the trim around the window is lifted a little bit and there's nothing. It's just cold air coming in, you know, and these are just not efficient either. They're terrible in every way. And yeah, something needs to happen. And here we have Janice's favorite thing about the boat. It's not her favorite thing about the boat. This is the main door. And when we first got the boat, Janice was like, what is up with that door? It's like you're going into a store, you know, somewhere, right? Like it's a big aluminum door. It had a big closer module at the top and it just doesn't really match or fit anything. So Janice is like, why did they do this? When did they put this door in? It was the original door on the boat. We looked back in the photos that we got from Hagen Museum, and this is what came on the boat, as near as we can tell from the pictures that we've seen. So yeah, I don't know what the thought process behind this was, but it's pretty bad. And right now, we had this deck replaced when we were in Steveston the first time, and as you can see, it's got a gap underneath the bottom of it. We keep carpets pushed up against it to try to keep air out, but huge gaps for cold air to sneak in. Yeah, it's just tragic. So this part of the dream list isn't necessarily hey, we just dream of making this happen. This is something that we are going to have to address. We want something that, say for example, the pilot house windows, I want good strong windows where if we take a wave over the bow and submarine, I don't have to worry about pilot house windows blowing out. Same for the side windows on the boat. We want a good offshore capable window. We want something that's temperature efficient. I mean, we plan on doing lots of high latitude cruising in this boat, so we need something that's going to keep the heat out, or keep the heat in as good as we can possibly get. Doors the same way. We need something strong, especially in the pilot house, that we don't have to worry about. Good thick glass, a dog down door. It's just something that is a must. And even though it is a dream, it's a dream that we're going to have to make happen. So another really important thing is solar. We had nothing on board when we bought Tangaroa. And in my opinion, for any long-term live-aboard boat, you need to have solar. That was probably one of the best investments we've ever made. However, I'm of the firm belief that you can never have too much solar. So this is what we've got right now. This is 2,400 watts of solar, and it does pretty admirably for us. Unfortunately, wintertime, when the radiance goes down, it's not enough. We need more solar to carry us through in the wintertime. Ideally, I would like enough to completely cover all of our usage year round. And that's a big ask, but totally possible. The next issue is we use this deck quite a bit. We've got hammocks up here. As you can see, we've got the tender, we've got the scooters, we've got traps. So we get a lot of use up here. And unfortunately, with standard solar panels such as these, you can't walk on them. They're not strong enough for that. So my dream solar array up here would be an extremely robust mounted system directly to the deck that was a solid walkable system. Something that can handle a little bit of abuse and we don't have to worry about damaging the panels. And in that case, I would cover this entire deck with solar. Heck, I'd probably make little wings that would slide out to give us even more solar when we got stopped in places. So yeah, that's my idea with the solar, and I think we got a lot of potential because we have a lot of deck up here. So looking forward to that. Now we're talking about the decking. And as you can see, this is a little bit of a crappy setup on the boat, and this is probably one of my biggest pet peeves. As you can see, you've got the 1 inch thick of teak deck here, and then you have another 1 inch thick of filler. That just drives me nuts. Unfortunately, we don't really know what we want to do here. We'd love to be able to pull everything off and get something on there. However, if there's that much filler on there, it's pretty much guaranteed that that deck is not smooth. And not only that, there will be water under there. So there'll be corrosion spots that we'll have to deal with as well. And once we get it all off and we get it all smoothed back down again, we don't even know what we want on there. We're looking for something that's obviously going to be feel comfortable on the feet, going to be pet-proof, dog-proof, going to be able to handle the weather and the cold and the heat and the rain and the snow. So looking for options for that are going to work out really well for us, and ideally something simple would be perfect. When we got this boat, what it had for nav was not much. It was all pretty bad. There was a depth sounder mounted up here all by itself. There was an old CRT monitor in the middle of the console here that I have no idea what it was even ever connected to. It wasn't connected to anything when we bought the boat. There was an old Icom VHF radio. I think there was, I don't even think there was a GPS up here. There was a compass in here as well, which we'll have to figure out. But it was all really old. There was no navigational software. There was no MFD for navigation. It was pretty rudimentary, and obviously something had to happen. So something did happen. Now, obviously we've come a long way. What we have now is a full Time Zero setup, and this is running Time Zero Professional, two 21-inch touchscreen monitors. And this is a brilliant system. We've really done a lot of miles with this, and we're loving everything that it can do. We've done a few upgrades to the base system. We run a Simrad VHF radio, which does our AIS transmit and receive. That was a huge bonus having AIS on board. Not only can we see ships when we can't see them visually, but they can also see us when they might not be able to see us visually. We've got a Furuno autopilot. That has been amazing. We've had no autopilot on this boat for years, and that's been something that we've had working within the last year, and it's just been awesome. We've had a couple of hiccups with it based on old equipment that it's running, but the actual Furuno parts of it have been phenomenal. We've got a Furuno DFF1 depth sounder that does all of our sounder stuff, and it ties into the Time Zero as well. So it does all of our fish finding depth. I've got just a standard depth readout as well as a fish finder display, so I can visually see when the depths start to come up. That's super handy. And we've got a Furuno radar, which is all built into the Time Zero system, and that can all be overlaid just like any of your new navigation equipment. And once again, that was another huge thing that we've installed on the boat. So there's been a lot of upgrades that have happened to this system that have been really handy. However, there's several things that still need to be tackled. For the first one, I'd love, and it's high on my list, DFF3D sounder module. And what that is you see it on some of the modern MFDs where it takes a standard depth sounder and it just basically makes it better. It adds, rather than one sounder that shoots straight down, it is an array of sounders that kick off to the side, and it does a swath on the bottom of the ocean floor. When I used to look at it, I thought it was just cool and it looked neat. However, now that we're cruising, I really see the benefits of having something like that when we're coming into anchorages that we don't know. A lot of the places that we're going to where we might have some poorly charted areas, it's nice to be able to see the seafloor as you're coming over, to be able to stop, reverse if you see a rock, plot out an area where you know it's safe to anchor. So that's something that I would really like to have. It's pretty high on my list, and I'd like to see that at some point. Other than that, I think that's really the last big thing for the navigational. As far as the main display setup, I want to have proper engine displays done up, really nice, pretty digital displays with all the readouts from the engines. Really would be excited about that. Some sort of a switching, that's something that's been eluding me a bit here lately. All of my nav lights, everything that I have to turn on and off when we're getting underway or when we're docking. I don't have any on-off button for that, or breaker per se. Lately, I've just been putting fuses in and out because I haven't decided on what I want to do. And I think I would ultimately like to end up with some sort of a touchscreen display where I can turn things on and off, wipers, defroster fans, navigation lights, whatnot. It would just be a nice, clean setup that kind of matches up what I've got going here already. Yeah, and that would really, I think, finish up my ultimate goal of what I have in the pilot house. Another thing to do with kind of the pilot house area is the spotlight. So this is a spotlight that came with the boat. It is a 1 mile ray, I think they call it, is the actual model number. It's a 1 mile ray. And what does it say for the manufacturer? That's the Portable Light Company, Kearney, New Jersey. And I don't think these guys are in business anymore. This is a pretty old light, as you can tell. But it's actually kind of neat. It's got all the ways to move it manually. It's not an electric one. So it used to be right here, and you could actually turn the spotlight just via the handle here, and then you could turn another little handle that would tilt it up and down. So it's super functional, doesn't require any electrical for the movement. But for starters, it was not super awesome light-wise compared to what we have today. You get a lot of the LED spotlights. Things will blind passerbys. Not this. This was a pretty dim light. Didn't work super well for spotting things. So obviously not ideal for that. Secondly, it's got a nasty crack in the lens, and which is really sad, because one thing that I will say about this light, I do like the classic look of it, and I think it suits the boat, and I would love to keep that. So my dream for this, for starters, would be to have the chroming redone on it so it looks good, because as you can see, it's tarnished. The reflector on the inside here has just got a lot of pits and stuff on it that just looks crappy and probably doesn't do well for light. And lastly, the bulb. I would love to be able to take this, retrofit it with some sort of an LED array to basically turn it into a modern LED spotlight inside of an old frame. So I think it's possible, and that's probably something that I'm going to tackle in the future. But for the time being, it's not ideal for what we want, but it can be better. Originally, we started off with Detroit's on Tangaroa, and they got the boat around, but had some pretty obvious shortcomings for what we wanted to do with the boat, so we did the swap to Cummins. These are the 6.7s, and they've been pretty good. However, they're not my dream setup. This is not what I would consider my ultimate goal for what I want for the boat. My initial thoughts on everything, and I've got hours and hours and hours and hours into researching this, was a hybrid setup. And basically, what these engines were kind of the first step in moving into that direction. My thought is to at some point be able to convert these to generators and then have electric propulsion on the boat. I've looked into parallel hybrid stuff as well, with maybe a clutch and a sandwich plate. I don't know, but I definitely want to go somewhere hybrid related for a multitude of reasons that I'm not going to go into now, but it's definitely high on my dream list of things that I would like to do with the boat. Back in the original intro of this video, I told you guys that one of the important things for us on board was comfort. That's pretty high up there. And one of the things that is really important for comfort on a powerboat when you're traveling oceans is stabilizers. And fortunately, Tangaroa came with stabilizers. Unfortunately, they were pieces of shit. I can't say that. They weren't garbage. They're just old, poorly maintained, did not function. These stabilizers have not functioned since we purchased the boat. They are original to the boat, or yeah, I think they are actually original to the boat. They were upgraded at one point with bigger fins. But what they are is they're a Vosper Thornycroft maxi fin stabilizer system. It's a hydraulic stabilizer system. And the reason why I'm just showing you this is because other than the fins themselves and the hydraulics on the fins, this is the only thing that I've kept out of the original system. I don't know why I've kept it. I don't think I'll ever use it. It's just kind of old and retro and cool. But this was the control panel for it. And this is how you'd turn on the system and set different modes and whatnot. There was also underneath the dash big boxes that were filled with the electronics to run this system. And one of the things in that system was an old aircraft rate of turn indicator that had a gyro built into it. And anytime you'd turn on the stabilizers in the pilot house, it sounded like a jet engine starting up. I mean, this thing was just and was crazy noisy. I mean, it would shock you, the noise that came out of this little thing. So anyway, that was never something that I was good with keeping. Like, obviously there were going to have to be some upgrades done on that. I've already had all of the hydraulic side of things redone. I've bought new components for the hydraulic side of things, new pumps, new hoses. All the rams on the fins have all been redone, but the control system I've not done anything with. So my dream with that is to have something control-wise a little bit more modern. Maybe something that ties into my satellite compass that detects roll off of the NEMA 2000 stream, because it picks up on all that. Pitch, roll, yeah, and then plumb that into some sort of electronics that can control the fins. I've toyed around with some electronic components, and I've had some positive results with that, but I just need to kind of put it all together and get that going. But dream is definitely to get stabilizers up and functional with some sort of modern control, because I tell you what, we've been out in some pretty ugly stuff, and the one thing about Tangaroa is without stabilizers, she rolls. I mean, it can be a pretty violent roll. Not like an unstable roll where we're worried about the boat rolling over. She's naturally pretty stable that way because she's not tall and all the weight's down low. But you get these violent jerks at the end of the rolls. So if you're coming up one wave, you'll roll over to one side and you'll kind of hit the next wave. And that's when everything gets shifted. If we've forgotten anything on countertops or we don't have things strapped down, that's when stuff goes flying. That's when it gets really uncomfortable, really tiring, really stressful, and pretty high on the list of dream stuff is to get that working properly, because nobody likes that. That's just terrible. So when we were kind of thinking about this video, we had kind of polished up a lot of the stuff, and Janice asked me, well, what about thrusters? And I looked at her and I said, you know, honestly, I never even thought about it. While it would maybe be nice in some circumstances. I've never even really considered putting a thruster on the boat. So far, we've been pretty capable of putting it wherever we want to put it. So yeah, it's just never been a priority. And it's not something that I dream about for the future of the boat. Now, azimuth thrusters, which would take the place of those, but no thrusters. Another thing that I'd really, really, really love on this boat, and it kind of feeds into the whole technology thing, is an azimuth drive. And not just any azimuth drive. The new azimuth drives that they're working on now, or they're not even working on, they're out and available, is a rim-driven azimuth drive. That means that the azimuth drive spins on the bottom of the boat, and that's your propeller and everything. And it is directly spun by magnetic force. The motor is the azimuth drive and the propeller. The outer ring is the stator, and the propeller is the rotor. It's got permanent magnets on it. So there is no friction losses through the boat. There's no friction losses from the shaft bearings or anything like that. You are directly driving the boat through the water at the azimuth drive. And not only that, shafts always have angles on them. So you're always pushing the boat up as well anytime you're driving the boat forward. So you lose a bit of efficiency there. Azimuth drives push straight forward. There's no angles. They are forcing the boat in the direction that you want to go. So there's just so many cool things about them. And honestly, maneuverability, there you need no thrusters, and you can put this boat anywhere you would want. It could hold position, just really cool stuff. And that's kind of a pipe dream, but man, that'd be pretty awesome. Now, we've heard lots of comments and questions about why wouldn't you just buy a newer boat? Well, for starters, there's no new boats that are this. You know, we like this boat. Like I said, we like the shape of it. We like the soul behind it. I find for us, you don't get that on the newer boats. And, you know, some will disagree, but that's our personal feeling. And quite honestly, I don't know how many of you have actually looked at the price of new boats. So let's say, for example, kind of one of the top of the line boats that you have out there is the Nordhavn. Nordhavn 70-something foot boat. Those are like $3.5 million for a new Nordhavn. I could do a lot of really cool things to this boat and have it perform better than a Nordhavn and be better suited for us. So you're always, when you're buying a new boat, you're at the mercy of that boat and the people that are building it to give you what you want. We have what we want. And if I want something different, I just make it different for me. I don't have to depend on other people to tell me what I want in a boat or to outfit it the way they think it should be outfitted. I get what I want this way, and it's considerably cheaper. And to add on to that as well, why leave a boat like this to rot away? I mean, why am I going to spend money to add more to the environment when I've got a good hull here that I can work with? We love the boat, which is the only thing that matters. And if we were to not grab this boat, there's a chance that this boat could just rot away somewhere and end up a mess for somewhere on some beach. So we're perfectly happy recycling and using what other people may not want to use. And as I said, we love this boat, and that's the only thing that matters. And that's my dream for Tangaroa. And quite honestly, we're willing to put in whatever the blood, sweat, and tears is to make that happen. So subscribe, stay tuned, and see where we go next.
If you want to be the first to know when we start the next big project, join our online crew. You'll get the inside scoop, behind the scenes updates, and an extra video every week, plus a few surprises along the way. You can sign up on our website or hit the join button right here on YouTube.